Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. This is week 45. We're going to be covering Deuteronomy 3:23 through 7:11, and I've called it Instructions for War because, well, I'm just going to get to it. Let's go to Isaiah 28, and it says, verse 5, "In that day, shall Yahweh of hosts be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of His people, and for a spirit of judgment or right ruling to him that sits in judgment or right ruling, and for strength to them that turn the battle back to the gate." And really the core of this study is going to be standing and feeding and residing in the strength in the name of Yahweh, aka the law, the Torah. And in this portion we have the Shema, and the Shema is a call to basically think about the Torah at every part of your life. You know, when you get up, when you lie down, when you walk by the way, when you sit in your house. And so, you know, there's these sentiments, of course, in mainstream Christianity, not to focus on the law, well, because the law is for the Jews, it's done away with, or whatever, in different, however it's put aside. And then, you know, even in this walk of faith and obedience, people that understand the Torah, there's kind of this like reservation, like, hey, well, we can't be too about the Torah. Like, it's got to be like balanced, and we don't want to be too focused on it. We need to focus on Christ first, and then the Torah. When I'm like, wait a minute, focusing on Christ or focusing on Messiah is focusing on the Torah. It's like, it's His love language. It's everything. So we'll get into it. And so, I believe He is giving us strength that are turning the battle back to the gate. And what does that mean? Well, the enemy, of course, is at the gates, and it has been. And just like Messiah, just a small snippet, this is Matthew 4 when He's battling Satan. And how did He battle him? He battled him by the Word, by refusing to get to kneel, to serve anyone else, to give in to any temptations. But literally, every response from Messiah came from the book of Deuteronomy. And of course, here we are finding ourselves now immersed in the book of Deuteronomy, and undoubtedly probably one of the most important portions of the book of Deuteronomy. And so, in any case, really excited to get into this Torah portion. So if you're like me, you want to be just like Messiah in that you just want to have His heart, you want to have His character, you want to just do what He did. And He even says, greater works will you do than me. And I don't believe He's a liar to any extent. And so if He says that, I believe, especially in His last days, even greater things than the apostles did. That may seem wild, and we may seem like we're without strength, but isn't that what He says? Those to the Church of Philadelphia, though you had a little strength, you've kept my word, the patience of my word. So anyways, this Torah portion is all about instructions for war. And I don't know about you, I believe we are at war currently with the enemy, and didn't we learn that from day one, that the devil just wants to kill, steal, and destroy? And what is the Most High love the most? I mean, He can have all the gold and silver and all the resources in the world He wants. What's the one thing that's precious to Him? Well, it's His people. It's His people that love Him and want to do what He says. I mean, we'll get into that, of course, the love language of our Creator. And so, anyways, let's pray. Father Yahweh, we just come before You and just bless You and just thank You so much for all that You've done for us, creating the earth and the heavens in 6 days and everything contained in it. And on the seventh day, setting that aside, blessing it, We'll read that later on, I'm sure, and how you picked that day to be special. And so, well, this day, thank you. Whenever people may not be watching this on the Shabbat, but nevertheless, we thank you for the Shabbat, and we just ask that you'd help us to understand the words we're reading, because we want to be faithful doers and not just hearers alone. And we want to be diligent with what you've given us. So help us. How can we know anything but by what you teach us, by the Ruach and by your written words? So help us. Amen. Hallelujah. Yahushua's name. All right, so we're going to have the word audio do Deuteronomy 3:23 through the end of 3 for us, and then we'll talk about it.
And I besought El Yahweh at that time, saying, O Adonai Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what El is there in the heavens or in earth that can do according to your works and according to your might? I pray you, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond the Yarden, that goodly mountain and Lebanon. But Yahweh was wroth with me for your sakes, and would not hear me. And Yahweh said unto me, let it suffice you. Speak no more unto me of this matter. Get you up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with your eyes. For you shall not go over this Yarden, but charge Yahushua, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you shall see. So we abode in the valley over against Beit Peor.
My apologies. Things were not in order. We usually blow the shofar before we get into the reading. So, Numbers 10:10, blow the shofar with great gladness on the new moons, the Shabbats, the feast days. Praise Yah. Somewhere in the prophets, I think Isaiah 58, he says, set your mouth to the trumpet, the shofar, and show my people their transgressions. So I don't know about you. I believe we're living in the last days, and I just want to be ready. If it's possible, we're that generation. I just want to be ready, and I want to be instructed by our Creator, who thought enough of us to give us direct communication. Like, hey, this is what pleases me. This is what I want. And I don't know. Over the last few years, in focusing on observance of the law, I found a lot more shalom. But that's not a witness alone, because people say they have peace in all sorts of religions, and I don't know. I can only just relate what I have in here. And so I just want to make mention real quickly here. Moses, of course, forbidden to enter the land. And real quickly, I just want to intercede here for Moses. The way it's written, it almost looks like Moses is denying responsibility and like blaming it on them. But I think he's just giving context of the overall situation of like what happened, and like, hey, let's learn from this. But nevertheless, because I don't think Moses was just ignoring the fact that he disobeyed Yahweh, and he's like blaming it on them now. But ultimately, if the people had not rebelled and flipped out and just would have been okay, Moses, all those things wouldn't have happened. But nevertheless, let's just remind ourselves of the greater strictness that it's very apparent that Moses was judged with. And that's a message to me and anyone else that does influence the congregation. I don't think you necessarily have to be an assembly leader. If you're leading people in doctrine and guidance in the scriptures, we're held to a standard. So James 3:1, or higher standard, my brethren, be not many masters or teachers in some translations, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation, or in some translations, judged with a greater strictness. And I think this Torah portion tells us that without even have to plainly saying it. Romans 2:11, for there is no respecters of persons with Elohim. Acts 10:34-35, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive that Elohim is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that fears him and works righteousness is accepted with him. And so this is why I can't get on board with any kind of like racism in the assembly. People stating that one skin color is superior to the other, or anything. But I believe Abba is no respecter of persons in that regard. Now, he is a respecter of those who keep his commandments. He shows respect, or he turns his face to those who do keep his ways. And so this is what Moses' view from Pisgah. I almost want to redo the word audio because of that. I think I recorded that part like 6 years ago, and I called it Pikga because of the C in the Sefer, but it is S, Pisgah. So this would have been roughly where he looked from on the map. Pisgah right here. You have the Dead Sea, and of course this is where they ended up crossing over into the Promised Land. The last few weeks we've been talking about Heshbon and Moab, and so this is their stronghold area that they would have gotten a foothold in the Promised Land. It's like this is like their first inheritance, and then they use this as a springboard to go into the Promised Land. So anyways, let's I think that's really all I had for chapter 3. There's not a whole lot there. So let's go over to Deuteronomy 4. Now this is where it gets really important to our days. And I was just about to get into it, but why would I? Let's let the scriptures speak first. Hallelujah.
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 4.
Now therefore hearken, O Yashrael, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohai of your fathers gives you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may guard the commandments of Yahweh Elohaikim which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahweh Elohaikim has destroyed them from among you. But ye that did cleave unto Yahweh Elohaikim are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you commandments and judgments, even as Yahweh Elohai commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Guard therefore, and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who has Elohim so nigh unto them, as Yahweh Eloheinu is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that has commandments and judgments so righteous as all this Torah, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself, and guard your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them to your sons and your sons' sons, especially the day that you stood before Yahweh Elohaikim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, Gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And he came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 debarim. And he wrote them upon 2 sapphire stones. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you commandments and judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahweh spoke unto you in Horeb, out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes unto heaven, and when you see the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heaven, should be driven to worship them, and serve them, which Yahweh Elohaikim has divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. But Yahweh has taken you, and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Mitzrayim, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over the Yarden. and that I should not go in unto the good land, which Yahweh gives you for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over the Yarden, but ye shall go over, and possess that good land. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of Yahweh Elohim, which he cut with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything which Yahweh Elohim has forbidden you. For Yahweh Elohim is a consuming fire, even a jealous El. When ye shall beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh Elohim, to provoke him to anger, I call the heavens and the earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereinto ye go over the Yarden to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. And there ye shall serve Elohim, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence you shall seek Yahweh Elohim, you shall find him. If you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, when you are in tribulation and all these things are come upon you, even in the latter days, if you turn to Yahweh Elohim and shall be obedient unto his voice, for Yahweh Elohim is a merciful El, he will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven unto the other, whether there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire as you have heard and live? Or has Elohim essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh Elohim did for you in Mitzrayim, before your eyes? Unto you it was showed, that you might know that Yahweh, he is Elohim, there is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you, and upon earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Mitzrayim, to drive out nations from before you, greater and mightier than you are, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in your heart, that Yahweh, he is Elohim in heaven above, and upon the earth beneath, there is none else. You shall guard therefore his statutes, and his commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which Yahweh Elohim gives you forever.
Then Moshe severed 3 cities on this side of the Yarden toward the sunrising, that the slayer might flee thither, which should kill his neighbor unawares, and hated him not in times past, and that fleeing unto one of these cities he might live, namely Betzer in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reuvenim, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadim, and Golan in Bashan of the Menashim. And this is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Yisrael. These are the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Moshe spoke unto the children of Yisrael, after they came forth out of Mitzrayim. On this side of the Yarden, in the valley over against Beit Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorim, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moshe and the children of Yisrael smote, after they were come forth out of Mitzrayim. And they possessed his land, and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorim, which were on this side of the Yarden toward the sunrising. From Aroer, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even unto Mount Sihon, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side of the Yarden eastward, even unto the sea of the plain, under the springs of Pisgah.
Pisgah. Praise Yah. All right. So let's go back to the beginning of Deuteronomy 4. This is an awesome chapter, and a good portion of this study is based on here. And let's, verse 1. I mean, so hearken, listen, right? And just you think about, things start to click when you think about Messiah. He's like, my sheep hear my voice. They hearken to my voice, and they follow me. And this is a prerequisite. You want to go into the promised land, you got to keep the commandments. And so why would that change going into the kingdom in the future? And we see that literally the last page of the Bible. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. So nothing's changed. We know the scripture says he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And also in Malachi it says, I change not, lest you sons of Jacob be consumed. And so it's the same promise to us now. And so we want to get in the fight. We want to battle Satan. We want to defeat the enemy. Hey, you're going to learn that a big part of that is getting your life in order and getting it in sync with the Torah of the Most High, and especially those of you that have children or those that are dependent upon you, or those that Yahweh has put in your life that people look up to you or gain instruction from. Right here, we got to teach them. We're not there yet. Deuteronomy 6 is where we specifically talk about that. So anyways, and so literally it says, don't add to the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish. So basically, don't add to the law and don't take away. And so growing up in Judaism, this is very apparent. There were so many additions to the law and taking away, and that was a huge part of Messiah's ministry. If you can be honest, and rereading the gospel accounts, a big portion of this was getting rid of the man-made traditions and just getting back to the ancient ways, the way that was originally instructed. And so this is why, personally, we don't do Christmas and Easter and Sunday. These are all things that are added to go alongside with this. Deuteronomy 12:8, you shall not do after the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. I mean, literally, if you want to be in Yahweh's house, you got to obey his rules. So we can't just do what's right in our eyes. So though we may have grown up in a time where doing some of the things in Torah may seem like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Well, maybe I'm getting to a point where I'm like, what? I trust Yah. And so even though it may not seem normal, or we've grown up at the end of times when literally things are upside down. So Deuteronomy 12:29, actually verse 30, take heed to yourself that you're not snared by following them, the other nations, after that they be destroyed before you, and that you inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. No. Right? You shall not do so unto Yahweh your Elohim. For every abomination to Yahweh, which he hates, have they done to their gods. So this is the extreme. This does not mean this is limited to this part. For even their sons and daughters have they burnt in their fire. That's like the extreme. He's like giving you extreme example, but everything in between, the smallest to the greatest, this is the greatest of their abominations. The other stuff he hates too. Whatever I think command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto nor diminish from it. And so, this last season, people have been like, well, fine, Hanukkah though. Just gonna put Hanukkah right there and be like, Hanukkah, so therefore Christmas. And obviously the thought behind that is, well, the Maccabees added Hanukkah, and Jesus, Yeshua, was okay with that. And I was like, okay, fair point. Let me go back to John 10 again. And then we go back to John 10, and you're like, wait a minute. Was he really complicit with Hanukkah? Was he really like, hey guys, I'm here, let's celebrate? And I'm definitely not trying to be sassy. I'm just stating facts. Like, is that what happened? Like, did he go to Hanukkah and was like, hey, let's celebrate Yahweh? Let's review what he says. John 10:22. It was at Jerusalem at the Feast of Dedication, Hanukkah, and it was winter. And Jesus, Yahusha, walked in the temple of Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said to him, how long do you make us a doubt? If you be the Christ, tell us plainly. Yahusha answered them, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe me not. This is what he says, because you are not my sheep, as I told unto you. So hang on, back up. He pulls up, he comes up to Hanukkah, and he's like, you guys aren't believing anything I'm saying, and you're not my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And this is going back to, right? Hearken, O Yasharel. And we'll see this again in the Shema. Listen, hear, obey. And so, anyways, the point is that I'm out on Hanukkah too. That doesn't mean that we won't read the story of the Maccabees and remember the deliverance that Yah gave. And this is definitely not snubbing what Yahweh did there, but were they right in adding a feast day, basically? I'm not going to condemn them, but I'm just not going to participate in it. And what I used to teach, I've even taught in observing Hanukkah before, because I was like, Yahusha was there and he didn't say, stop doing this feast, but did he really have to? And he's like, hey, you're not my sheep. So then I'm reviewing this. I'm like, wait a minute, he was not complicit with their observance of Hanukkah. He literally walked up and said, you're not my people. So call us vanilla or boring or plain, but man, there's enough in Torah for us, for our heart's desire. I mean, we're getting together all the time, every week in the Shabbat, every month for the new moons, several times throughout the year, and then twice a year we're having big campouts, on both ends, in spring and fall. At least we do the full unleavened bread camp out here. And then in Sukkot, and it's like, man, there's no room for Christmas and Easter and Hanukkah. Anyways, and so I'm not here to just, rain on your shalom on Hanukkah. I'm just saying, just where we're at, I'm done. I'm done with added traditions, and I just want to keep it to what the scriptures tell me and what Yahusha commands and what he instructed. And he's my Elohim. He knows what's best for me. And so that's why I still follow the book of Deuteronomy. I'll sing that to you later. Praise Yah. All right. Verse 3, the sacrifice of the dead, Baal Peor. We just covered that a few weeks ago. We're not going to cover it again. But also, this is why, we won't participate in a Christmas with family and sit down at that meal, because that is an appointed time. In our eyes, that's an appointed time of a false god, maxed over, with veneers and Christian veneers. We're not going to sit down at that meal. So let's see, verse 4. But you that did cleave unto Yahweh. So people are like, no, I'm not participating in that. There's no way. No, I'm sticking to Yahweh. You that did cleave are alive this day. And I love this, because a lot of us learn, probably first at Ephesians, of the parallel of our walk and our relationship with Messiah is similar to our spouse. And so there's this marriage, and this same word cleave, let's take a look at it, is used in the first couple pages of our Bible. Genesis 2:24, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And this gives me being in a real marriage now. Yes, I am remarried, for anyone that that's important to you to know that. Anyways, now that I'm in a real marriage and I understand what that really looks like I am understanding the depth of cleave and how that's it's like binding together. This cleave is like uniting, and because it gives the interpretation, they shall be one flesh. And so, we should obviously be cleaving to our Elohim, but go back to a real marriage. You men and women out there, this is really a partnership. And I'm really talking to the men, because men, there's times where a woman will come into this truth and will start to usurp her husband and things like that. And that's not okay. But what I see it more often is the men getting empowered. They're like, Torah, hey, Torah says I'm the boss. Oh, hey, some changes are going to happen around here, and start becoming like tyrannical. And I don't know. I'm just really seeing that this is like a partnership, and I love walking this out with my wife as like my equal. And, ultimately, if there's ever a disagreement, and, I could have like the veto option, and I can have the ultimate decision, but we thrive, and I enjoy coming to a righteous conclusion with my wife. And there's some things where we may not agree initially, but we'll talk it through, and we'll have hard conversations, and we'll get to an understanding. And rather than just me being like, well, I'm the man, so tough, deal with it. That may seem like ridiculous to some of you, but in doing some of these marriage counselings and hearing from some of you all out there, this is how people are acting. And so, which I can understand to a certain degree, because a lot of us are like babies waking up, and we are becoming born again and new creatures, and we're looking at the scriptures with new eyes. And not a lot of us have instruction out there, especially those of you that don't have assemblies or Zoom groups or any kind of mentor in your life. It's time to find some sort of accountability in your life, and someone that's been in this walk a little bit longer, that's wise and stable, that has a stable marriage, to get some advice from. And then not just marriage, just life in general. This is why you see a lot of people come into the walk, get all excited, get thrash around a little bit, and then they're gone again. You're like, yeah, no, never mind. This is ridiculous. And it's because we need instruction, and that's really the tune of this Torah portion. We'll get to a little bit later, but this is John 17, 20 through 22, just a reminder that being one, and so I think we may get into the deity a little bit later, but I believe that Yahusha is represented as Yod-Heh Vav-Heh all through the scriptures, but that doesn't, I'm not saying that there isn't a father that's greater than him, because he teaches us that. And so you have this Yahusha, who is our God. He's the one that came and died for us on the cross and became a man, and with all the same infirmities as us, showing us that this can be done, this walk can be done. But nevertheless, I do believe in an existence of two separate beings that are one together. It says, neither I pray I for these alone. He's talking about disciples in front of him, but them also which shall believe on me through their word. He's talking about you and I now. That they may all be one. There's that word achad, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me. And the glory which you gave me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. And so a little bit later in the Shema, we'll see that Elohim is one, echad. Well, I think this is some of the interpretation, but nevertheless, going back to the whole point of it, we need to cleave to our Elohim like we cleave to our wives, and hopefully our wives or husbands. And hopefully that's something that you're doing, cleaving together, being a team, a partnership, supposed to be working together. Let's go down here. And so obviously now Moses is that father-like figure that's teaching the commandments to the Israelites, to the heads, the officers, and the tribe leaders. They're supposed to then pass it down to their, tribes, and the heads of the tribes, to their families, and, to their children. And this is supposed to just be a continuing process, just like we see in nature. The birds keep reproducing, teaching their young how to do the same thing, how to build a nest, and they, obviously all the different animals, you see that succession passing down. But man, especially with the Torah of the Most High, we see that they fail to do this. And so this is really, we're talking about in the last days, this is the spirit of Elijah stuff. Hearts of the fathers returning back to the children, children back to the fathers. This is going back to the very basics of instructing our young to do what we do. First, we got to get ourselves right. Otherwise, how can we teach our children the right way? So this is that idea of even trying to get the planks out of our children's eye. How are we doing to do that if we can't even see straightly? So we got to get ourselves in line with our Creator, according to the Torah, and be wise. And so this is really cool. He's like, literally, if you guard the commandments, this will be your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear these statutes and say, wow, what a great nation and wise and understanding people. Of course, the perception is completely upside down right now. People literally don't understand what we're doing, and it's ridiculous in most people's eyes. And the people that are actively against it are like, you guys are the craziest and dumbest people on earth. Don't you understand Jesus came to do away with the law? Like, what are you doing? Why are you going back to burdensome things? Why are you troubling yourself with this? Why are you troubling others? We're going to map you out. And what nation is there so great? So this is coming. What nation is so great that has a Yahweh that's so close to him? And what nation is so great that has commandments and judgments so righteous as this Torah, which I said before you? It's because this true nation is starting to rise up now. And we're going to begin to show the real fruits. And he's going to gather us together and do some awesome things. But just to set the record straight about the Torah, because It just needs to be. The law of Yahweh is burdensome and imperfect and too hard to... No, none of that. It's perfect and converts the soul. It's part of the conversion of the soul. Now, Yahusha dying on the cross, that's the beginning. And there's a whole walk that continues to convert your soul into the being in, like, reflecting in the image of Yahusha. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. So standing in the instruction of the law and day by day correcting yourself to be more in line with the Torah makes you wise. Statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing in the heart. Many of us can testify to that. I can stand witness to that. The commandment of Yahweh is pure, giving light to the eyes. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. And this is another saying of the Torah. The name of Yahweh, the fear of Yahweh, the light, righteousness. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More are they to be desired than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and honeycomb. So we should be searching out the instructions of the Torah more than we search out for money and for sustenance and for riches. Moreover, by them is your servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. And that's a bonus. I don't know about you. I don't do this for the reward, but I like being rewarded. I want to be rewarded. And so we need to be this example. We need to be this example instead of bickering online all day long for the world to see and be like, wow, I definitely don't want to join that movement. We need to change things around. We need to be bearers of burdens. We need to, let's take a look at 1 Kings 10. When the Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, so concerning the law, because this is the prophecy, people will be like, wow, what nation has such awesome laws? When she heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions, because everybody has the same challenges in life. And if people don't have the instructions of Yahweh, certain things are going to be very hard and challenging. Kind of like my wife and I are reading, was it 1 Samuel 20 or 21? It's where David was in front of one of the kings. And David, to get out of it, was like, he acted insane, drooling on his beard. And the king was like, do I lack insane people in my kingdom? Right? And so it just gives you a quick, they weren't free of crazy people and psychotic people and people who lost their mind. And people there's the same issues. People deal with similar issues. She came to prove him with hard questions, and she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, very much gold, precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And she probably all the troubles and worries in her kingdom. Like, how do you fix this? How do you deal with this? How do you handle this with your people? And Solomon told her all of her questions, and there was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. Now I'm gonna pause real quickly. Because once again, Torah is not just Shabbat, feast days, clean eating, tzitzits. Torah is everything that anyone needs on the basics of life. Food, crop rotations, animals, livestock. Sorry, redundant. Marriage laws, purity, cleanliness, camp cleanliness, priests, priest duties, kings, how kings can't, multiply gold and horses, and so that he not be lifted up as brethren. Instructs us how to care for the widows and the orphans and the poor, how to love our neighbor. It's all there. It's everything. And so if it answers life's deepest questions, would he not have that wisdom to be able to answer her? When the Queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom and the house he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up to the house of Yahweh, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of the acts of your wisdom. Now I just want to tell you, this is coming again. Yahweh is going to lift up his people one more time to be set over the nations, but he's going to be choosing a poor and meek and humble and contrite people that handle his Torah the right way, that don't use it as a weapon to cut off the ears of others, but using it as a way to reach the lost and to truly teach the ways of Yahweh like Abraham did. And she said to the king, it was a true report. Oh, I'm sorry. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and my eyes had seen it, and behold, the half of it was not told me. Your wisdom and your prosperity exceeds the fame which I heard. Happy are your men, happy are these servants which stand continually before you, and that hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahweh Elohim, which delights in you, which sets you on the throne of Israel, because Yahweh loved Israel forever, therefore he made you king to do judgment and justice. And listen, this is coming again, brothers and sisters, and the people once again will be saying this. Messiah told us, he told us, right? You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. So by implication, he wants us to be set like this. He wants us to be a city set on a hill that all can see, because that is the prophecy in the last days. It shall come, Isaiah 2:2, it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. It's coming. The enemy can't stop this. And many people shall go and say, come ye, let's go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, just like Sheba, right? They heard of it, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, the Torah. What are we waiting for? This is it. This is what the world needs. And the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light, the Torah of Yahweh. This is what everyone needs. Every nation needs the Torah as a guiding stick, as a reflection, as a mirror, as a beacon, as a guidebook to how to instruct their kingdoms, how to live. So we need to be this light. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it gives light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. This is the mission. I don't know why I started at verse 5. I want to read at verse 1. We're at no time limit here. Listen, O Isles, Isaiah 49. This is our mission. Well, maybe Messiah specifically. Paul later quoted this and applied it to him and the apostles. Well, how much even more in these last days? Is this mission not for us? Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people from far. Yahweh has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother has he made mention of my name. Paul laid claim to this. This is obviously deals with Messiah as well. So we should be like Messiah. I mean, Paul himself, until Mashiach be formed in you, and the Spirit of Christ dwell in you, that no doubt we can do as he did, and as he mentioned, even greater things, as in being called to the kingdom, and calling all those who will come, who will listen. Do you care about people out there? Do you love people, or do you hate them? How do you view people? Do you view them as like, oh, you probably have the jab, you're probably infested, and you're probably a Satanist, and you don't keep the Sabbath, you don't love, or are we like, oh man, that's what, that's how a lot of people look at it. They're like, oh, don't touch me, you had the jab, you might shed on me, or you're marked, don't touch me, or that's what the Jews did. And I know, I grew up in that religion, and I'm thankful that Yahweh pulled me out of it. And going back to Israel last year and visiting, that's how they view people, the outside of Judaism, as like filth, like trash. Not everybody, some don't, but the majority do. That's what they're taught. They misunderstood the scriptures. They misunderstood of what it meant to not participate with the wicked. They misunderstood. And that's why Messiah literally had to come and be like, okay, I'm going to sit down with sinful people, not to join in their wickedness, but I got to reach them. And Yahushua is not talking about hanging out at the bar and getting drunk with the drunkards to reach them. And no, I don't think he's calling you to sit on video games for 12 hours a day to reach people there. I may be wrong. Let me not overstep callings here, but let's have some boundaries of not participating, right? Just participating in wickedness to be wicked. Sitting down at a meal with people who maybe frequent the bar is not participating in drinking at the bar with the drunkards. All right, let's get to the scriptures. So he's called us. Has he not called all of us from the womb? Has he not called you? And he has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand has he hid me and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver has he hid me. And we read this a couple weeks ago. He says, let my outcast dwell with you, Moab. Be a covert to them. Hide them. And he said unto me, you are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I've labored in vain. I've spent my strength for nothing and in vain. Because it's like, we're looking around. It's like, we have not really made a dent, it doesn't seem like. And neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. And he says in Isaiah 26, and in vain, yet surely my judgment is Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim. And now, says Yahweh, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. This is our mission. Our mission is to bring the people back to him, back to his service. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength. And he said, that's a small thing. It's a light thing. It's a small thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, who are a very small remnant right now, right? And to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also, so this is the massive mission, I will also give you for a light to the nations, that you may be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. Because guess what? He formed all these tribes, all these different generations. This is what Peter saw in the vision, the snakes and the reptiles and the four-footed beasts, and it's all the different generations of people that he made. He loves all of them. Let me restate that. He wants all of them to come to him and will love all those who love him and keep his ways. He wants all of them to come, just like he called all of them to the ark. He loved those animals, didn't he? He wanted to protect them. Well, that's a small parallel in the last days, that he's gonna call all that will hear from any tribe or nation to come and gather. I will also give you for light to the nations, that you may be my salvation to the ends of the earth. Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despise, to him whom the nation hates. Isn't this how it always is? To a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of Yahweh that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose you. Thus says Yahweh, in an acceptable time I have heard you, in a day of salvation I have helped you, and I'll preserve you and give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth. This is to build up, to repair, to rebuild, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. This is the broken down path. This is the broken down ancient path, no way and no doubt. And this is the broken down walls of the true priest and the true prophets that were to guard those that were weaker inside. We learned about that in the cities of the Levites, and the proximity and the outer wall and the inner wall and the dwellers. That you may say to the prisoners, go forth, like get out of the prison cell. To them that are in darkness, get out, go into the light. They shall feed in their ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. And so when I say that the whole earth needs the Torah, this is the prophecy. Isaiah 42, behold my servant, whom I uphold, my elect, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him, and he shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. While this applies to Messiah, does this not apply in the latter days to his disciples, to his people, who are to really do this mission also in the last days? He shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring forth judgment unto truth. He shall not fail nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. What law? The Talmud? The man-made traditions? Christmas? Easter? Is that what the world is waiting for? No. They're waiting for the pure, unadulterated Torah of the Most High. The islands, all the nations are just waiting for it. They don't even know it. I got a taste of this when I went to Africa last year. And most of that, I went to Uganda, where most of that nation has been converted by the colonialists. And I learned not to be bitter against that anyways, because they had heard of Jesus. And unfortunately, all they knew was the prosperity gospel. But with the right heart, almost everywhere we went, when we shared that message, they're like, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know, Yahusha kept the law. He told us to keep the law. Peter even says Paul's words can be twisted for lawlessness. So we should re-review Paul's words with a greater strictness. Yeah, Adam, yeah, we should be doing this. And it's like, there's probably a lot of these people everywhere and probably still in the churches just waiting. And this is why we can't lead off with condemnation and judgment, but we have to tell them, if we actually care about people, I can't just let them be sitting there lulled to sleep under these steeples in the churches. Somebody's got to tell them. And I don't think it's going in with a bullhorn and screaming at everyone and saying you're going to hell unless you start keeping the Sabbath. I just don't think that's going to catch fish. I think we're going to have to be a little more wise as serpents and harmless as doves for probably the greatest mission on earth. I don't know about you. I love people. And that's not a boastful statement. I've wanted the heart of like Yahusha. I've prayed for it. Help me to love what you love and hate what you hate. And I don't know about you, I love people. He created them to be in his image. Satan has distorted that for them to be walking in, what men walking like women and women walking like men and children wanting to be kitty cats and like all sorts of stuff. And you can either just sit there and just mock and say, glad I'm not like you. Glad I'm not lost like you. Drunk, homeless guy, deadbeat. Like, what is that? That's like a yucky attitude. And I'm saying this because I've even seen people in Torah that have this attitude. They even have the attitude like, he still keeps evening to evening. He's a child of darkness. Get out of here. Get out of the assembly with that kind of nonsense. Like, we should be like, wow, man, you know what? Hey, you might be doing morning to morning. I'm doing evening to evening. But hey, let's high five that we're keeping the Shabbat and doing it the way that the best that we understand at this point. Like, I'm waiting to hang out with people like that. No, I'm not waiting. I am now. Love the people here at the assembly. We got people here. Like, we keep just that morning to morning, evening to evening just seems to be one of those ones that people talk about all the time. So I'm just bringing it up. We have people here that live in community with us that observe evening to evening, but are still convinced of their mind that it's morning to morning. But because they recognize that the demand from Yahusha is unity, they hearken. They hearken to what leadership has established and what we're convinced of at this time. And we're not too proud to re-review that, but I'm still not convinced. But the point is that can't we work this out in ways like that to where we can unite in ways like this? And maybe it's lofty thinking, but I don't know. Maybe at least if our heart was just in that place, maybe then we can move forward with the next steps where he can actually physically gather us. Because I think he wants our hearts, at least our hearts united together and being like, man, I love you. Different calendar, but I got mad respect for you and love for you because you've decided to truly follow Yahusha, the best that you understand, according to the scriptures. And I say best you understand, I know that can be taken very broadly because people will be like, well, Christians are just following the best understanding. There has to be a line drawn somewhere. And we'll get to that in a bit. But nevertheless, men and women are brought to goodness by guidance and example. So we have to be guided with instruction. We have to be guided in this written word. It has to be passed down, and it has to be passed down with love, understanding, example. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 4. And so, anyways, I don't know about you. I want to be the group of people that Yahweh uses to bring this to pass. To once again, that not just Queen of Sheba, but all nations would come one day to his place and be like, wow, what awesome nation is this that has laws that are so righteous, and a nation that has an Elohim that's so close to them. Man, I want to see that. I want to be jealous for Yahweh. I want him to have this. I want him to have that glory where he's like, man, the earth is following my ways. The earth can appreciate my ways. The earth can appreciate the order of operation of things that I built. Man, how cool. I just want to be a part of that. And so, anyways, let's keep going. Okay, it just told me my phone has 20% battery remaining. Okay, so crazy. I can probably... All right, I'll try to plug it in while the next scripture reading. So if I come back from the next scripture reading and my camera's gone, you know why. That means I did something wrong. So it's telling us here, that literally, he's like, I appeared to you in fire, that they may learn to fear me all the days they shall live upon the earth. They may teach their children. This is so important. It only takes one generation to fall away. So it's like no matter how hard you're diligent in searching Yahweh and setting your life, if you're not instructing your children, what good is it? So it's like if you're there on Shabbat and you're studying and you're rejoicing, and your teenager's just sitting in his room playing Call of Duty all day. Come on. You want to keep Torah? Teach your children. And if you're having a hard time, beg Yahweh that he may give you the words, the wisdom, the ruach, whatever is needed to take your home back and get Satan out of your children's lives. Stop sticking screens in front of them to pacify them so that you can just do what you want to do. This is a family. We got to do stuff. We got to stuff together. And, and there's time for adult time. And that's why, number one, it's good having a big family, those of you that know that, because then the older children help with the younger children so that you can, the point is not to just pacify them with these screens that, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm getting into this right now. Let's move on. Let's go to verses 31. I'm just scanning it. I think there's something else I love. Here we go, verse 29. So he's talking about prophesying that he's going to scatter them. Of course, that happens, and we're scattered now. But from thence, from the scattering, from the ends of the earth, if from thence you shall seek Yahweh, you shall find him. So it's like, no matter what we've done, what we've been into, if we set our hearts to seek him with all of our heart, soul, and mind, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, he wants people on fire. When you're in tribulation, all these things are come upon you, even in the latter days. If you turn to Yahweh Lahaika and shall be obedient to his voice, as in keep his commandments, and remember, he said with all your heart and soul and mind. So he wants people with their hearts burning on fire for Torah. I recently did a study, and actually it was last week here, that I was just comfortable saying, like people have accused me over the years of being infatuated or in love with or obsessed with the Torah. And I'll just keep saying that. People can record me if they want and replay it and be like, wow, look how crazy this guy is. He says he's in love with the Torah. I am. I absolutely am. That is my Creator's love language. We'll literally read it. For anyone, any Christian watching this or replaying this, John 14:15. Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And he literally says, my doctrine is not my own, but he who sent me. And so these commandments are not a new set of commandments. He does say a new commandment or a refreshed commandment I give you, you love one another, because they've forgotten that. The Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Essenes, and everyone's fighting each other and hating each other. And what's different now with all the 40,000 denominations? The problem is only multiplied. But nevertheless, he literally says in Matthew 23, the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All, therefore, what they bid you to observe to do, that and observe to do. Literally, our Messiah, our boss, our teacher, our king, our priest, our Messiah said, follow what the Pharisees instruct you in the law. But then he goes on to say, but don't do after their works, for they say and do not. So he's literally made a line in the sand between man-made traditions and the Torah. So if we're going to follow Messiah, we need to walk in the law. And again, in the book, not again, but in the book of Revelation, he says, I wish that you were hot or cold. Like, choose one. I don't want fence riders. I don't want lukewarm. He doesn't want people coming into this walk and be like, yeah, keep commandments, but my focus isn't that. My focus is, I don't know, taking the trash out for my neighbor, or I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be ridiculous. I'm not trying to be mean. But that is the measure. That is the measure of our being on fire for him or not. And we'll see later in the Shema that the Torah should be on our heart. So this is the heart condition. This is that burning passion. Jeremiah says in a place, everyone's mocking me for your words, and I'd rather just be quiet, but I can't. It's like a fire that's burning in my heart, and I can't stop. And that's the kind of people he wants. But he literally says, He literally says that from there, when you're in tribulation in the latter days, if you turn to him and be obedient, he will turn, right? And he'll meet us. Maybe a neat little Sabbath read, 2 Chronicles 33, story of Manasseh, one of the worst kings ever. But, he got jailed, and he was bound down with iron, and he repented, and Yahweh heard him and forgave him. Very encouraging to me. So let's go to chapter 5, Deuteronomy, Devarim 5. It's going to recite the 10 Commandments for us. Praise Yahweh. Can't get enough of it.
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 5. And Moshe called all Yisrael, and said unto them,
Hear, O Yisrael, the commandments and the judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them, guard them, and do them. Yahweh Eloheinu cut a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh cut not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face in the mount, out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time, to show you the word of Yahweh, for ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Yahweh Elohika, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim before me. You shall not make you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh Elohika, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and guard my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahweh Elohika in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Guard the day of the Shabbat, to sanctify it, as Yahweh Elohika has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor, and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh Elohika. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, and that Yahweh Elohika brought you out thence through a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm. Therefore, Yahweh Elohika commanded you to observe the day of Shabbat. Honor your father and your mother, as Yahweh Elohika has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahweh Elohika gives you. You shall not murder, neither shall you commit adultery, neither shall you steal, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor, neither shall you lust after your neighbor's woman, neither shall you lust after your neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahweh spoke unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 sapphire stones, and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass, when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And ye said, Behold, Yahweh Eloheinu has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that Elohim talks with man, and he lives. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh Eloheinu any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have and lived? Go near and hear all that Yahweh Eloheinu shall say, and speak you unto us all that Yahweh Eloheinu shall speak unto you, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when ye spoke unto me. And Yahweh said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto you. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me, and guard all my commandments always, that it might be well with them, and with their children forever. Go say to them, get you into your tents again. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will speak unto you all the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which you shall teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. Ye shall guard to do therefore as Yahweh Elohim has commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh Elohim has commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess.
Okay. Praise the Most High. So a retelling of the Ten Commandments, and something that stood out to me, I don't even think I put this down on my notes, but on the Sabbath day in Exodus, let's just pull it up, just so you're not taking my word for it. Exodus 20. On the Shabbat, it says, remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. And that Hebrew word here is zakar. Zakar is to bring to remembrance, to recall. It's also in the same way we observe the feast days. We zakar, we remember, we memorialize the Passover year by zakaring the Pesach. So remember the zakar, the Shabbat day, to keep it holy, set apart. It's different, right? And now on this one says guard the day of Shabbat to sanctify it as Yahweh commanded. So it doesn't have the word zakar here. That doesn't mean that's changed. Obviously that still applies, but this just to me gives a little more intimacy. Matter of fact, let's just take a look at that word shamar, Deuteronomy 5:12. And I'll pull up the Strong's here. I can't. Well, I'll just tell you, shamar. Shamar means to guard, to protect, to surround. The word keep, back in those days, was like a castle keep. If you ever look it up, like a castle keep, it's like a place it's a fortified building to guard something that's valuable and to protect it. And so that's how we have to look at the commandments. So it really grieves me there's a large group of people that kind of hate his commandments, despise them, or just some don't know, and there's different degrees of it, but we're supposed to protect it like we would, well, if we had all, lots of riches, would we just put it out in the front yard? No, I mean, we would guard it. If you have a store of money, you'd put it in a safe or something like that, protect it. And so with that mindset in our heart, we have to bring in these commandments and protect it. And we need to make sure that it's only his, because he doesn't want in our heart man-made traditions, because Yahusha directly looked at the Pharisees and was like, and this tells me a little more about the deity of Messiah. This people draws nigh unto me with their mouth and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me. And Messiah didn't refuse worship, as angels do not receive worship. They are like, no, don't. I'm just your brother. Messiah is different. And in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. So I don't know about you. I don't want to worship him in vain. Just like he says, you shall not take the name of Yahweh in vain. And I'm learning at least that the name of Yahweh is another, you can call it a poetic name for calling the Torah. So don't take the Torah of Yahweh in vain. He will not hold him guiltless that takes his name, his Torah, in vain. So, and so in vain they worship me, teaching for doctrines and commandments of men. So, let's go to, well, I'm just looking at the Ten Commandments in general. We talked about this before. This is like the basics. And then when you look at the Torah, it expounds on most of these verses further. So for example, let's take, honor your father and mother. So this is a broad commandment to honor your father and mother. And so then one is like, okay, well, how do you do that? Because if this was the whole of that commandment, how could he hold us accountable to what that actually looks like? Like if you stand before him and he's like, you didn't honor your mother and father, And then if I was just like, well, I knew Deuteronomy 5:16 and I knew Exodus 20, likewise, the counterpart, said to honor them, but I thought I was honoring them by the way I acted. How was I supposed to act? Well, without the continued instruction of the Torah, we wouldn't know. And there's, there's things in there like literally, actually going back to Matthew 15. I'm sorry. Here we go. Perfect timing. I didn't put this together like this. I give Yahweh praise on the fly here. Matthew 15. Then came to Yahusha, scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. And by the way, this still goes on. I was literally just in Israel, and specifically all over Jerusalem, you have these little hand washing stations, like everywhere, and with all these instructions and whatever. But he answered and said to them, why do you also transgress the commandment of Elohim by your tradition? For Elohim's commanded, saying, honor your father and mother, and he that curses father or mother, let him die the death, which is a separate commandment. But you say, whoever shall say to his father or his mother, it is a gift by whatsoever you might be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have you made the commandment of Elohim of none effect by your tradition. Because it was commanded that they take care of their parents when they get older and were not able to sustain life anymore. They didn't have just like nursing homes. You were supposed to just continue on by taking care of them. And who wants to put their... I'm not going to judge anyone out there. All right. But seriously, and so he's literally like, you have undone the Torah by your traditions. And so the point is the overall point is that the Torah further explains how we do this. Like, so, don't commit adultery. Okay, well, what is that? Well, and there's several instances of explaining, what adultery looks like. Anyways, and so how I'm understanding is we have the two greatest commandments, which we'll get a taste of that, of course, in next chapter when Yahusha literally quotes Deuteronomy 6 as being the greatest commandment. So there is also that lets us know there's a hierarchy of commandments, which Messiah also looks at the Pharisees and says, you're so careful to tithe mint and anise and cumin and have forgotten the weightier matters of the Torah, justice, mercy, and faith. These ought you to have done and not leave the others undone. So he wants both. He wants the small commandments and the big ones. It's not just about focusing on the big ones and then just like, well, laxing the little ones. He told you about that in Matthew 5. Even those who don't do the least of these commandments and teach others so, he shall be least in the kingdom, or in other translations, shall be an insignificant thing in the life to come. And that's not where I want to be. That's not where I want to put my... I don't want to put eggs in a basket, do I? I mean, I put them in a carton. But no, literally, that's where the focus in my life is, well, I don't want to be the least. I want to search him with all my heart, soul, and mind. So I want to be greatest. Is that a bad desire? I don't think so. But we know in the New Testament, Paul says love fulfills the law. And let's see. Romans 13:8, it says, owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loves has fulfilled the law. So people stop there, right? And they're like, see, even the apostles knew it's just about love. Well, yeah. But how do you define love? Tell me. And then, of course, Paul had the same understanding. For this, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal. So it goes on to quote the commandments as this is how you love your neighbor as yourself. Love works no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. So you're not going to steal from him or commit adultery, with his wife, and many other things. That's how you love. So the Torah is the love. 1 John 5:2, by this we know that we love the children of God. So it's like, am I loving my neighbor? You have a guidebook that tells you how to do that. And if you mess up, we have an Elohim who's faithful and merciful to forgive for those who are like King Josiah and be like, oh, I didn't know. But he wants us to rent our hearts, not our garments. And be like, my fault, sir. Let me spend the rest of my life doing it the right way now. That's the kind of children he wants. When we loved Elohim, so by this we know that we love the children of Elohim when we love Elohim and keep his commandments. For this is the love of Elohim, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. They're actually cool. They're awesome. They're wonderful. And then, of course, Yahusha, Messiah, if you love me, keep my commandments. John 15:9, as the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. And notice that there is no mention of a new set of laws or a different set of laws. So, yeah. And just also, a reminder about the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a big deal, and I've seen it recently where how people in this walk, when I say this walk, faith and obedience to the Torah, faith in the Messiah, obedience to the Torah, there's like this, well, now we're seeing a bunch of people doing the Sabbath. Now we're like, well, the Sabbath is not really like, oh, you're doing the Sabbath, big deal, well, it is a big deal. It's a big deal to him. It's a huge deal to him. So just a caution out there to not minimize. You can still get the same point across in that we shouldn't just rest that we're doing the Sabbath. We should also care about the widows, the orphans, the poor. It's like Messiah said, we should focus on all the matters of the Torah, the weightier and the lesser matters. I don't know where you'd fit the Sabbath. I mean, he rebuked the Israelites dozens of times. I think it was the second greatest rebuke. I think it was idolatry, then Sabbath, and then idolatry, perverting judgment, and then Sabbath, I think, is the order of the amount of times, frequency of rebuke. So I look around us, and if it's possible that you can connect Christmas and Easter and all this stuff to idolatry, and of course, the Catholic Church makes that very easy with the statues and the images and things like that. But now, is idolatry one of the biggest problems? Yeah. In the assembly, yeah, I'd say so. Because most Christians would understand the other 9 commandments pretty well. Maybe not the taking my name in vain, but I don't know. Again, and this is not sitting in a seat of judgment like, ha, look at those silly Christians. They just don't get it. They aren't as cool as us. That is not the heart posture at all. But we have to stand for what's right. And we can't just sit there and give Christianity a pass because, oh, big deal, you keep the Sabbath and they don't. Oh, big deal, you keep the Sabbath and they don't. It's a huge deal. Daddy thinks it's a big deal. And he has great punishments for those. I think it was Jeremiah 17. Let's take a look, I think. Jeremiah 17:21, thus says Yahweh, take heed to yourselves, like Yahusha, and the apostles were like, hey, tell us about the end days. He's like, take heed, let no one deceive you. So in a similar way, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day. Neither do you any work, but hallow the Sabbath day. Like, make it special, different. As I commanded your fathers, but they obeyed not. Neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear. Then he goes on to give a promise. If you keep the Sabbath, you'll stay here, and you'll have kings and princes. But, verse 27, if you will not hearken unto me to hallow the Sabbath day, to make it special, different, set apart, right? Then I will kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched. How many thousands were killed, slain, because of the Sabbath day? So don't tell me it's not a big deal. Stop diminishing the commandments of Yahweh. Maybe, hopefully unknowingly. Hopefully it's just from a thing of like, hey, Israelites, stop boasting in your Sabbath keeping and start doing these other things. You can say that without diminishing the commandments of Yahweh. Does that make it make sense? Because it is a big deal to him. This is big deal. And, count how many times he encourages Sabbath keeping. Many times. And then here, last thing in verse 5, or chapter 5, he says, and this is his heart, like, this is Yahweh's being, there was such a heart in them that they would fear me and guard my commandments always, that it might be well with them and their children forever. Because we'll read in Deuteronomy 28, not today, but when we get there, he promises so much. You want a prosperity gospel? Have faith in Yahusha and keep the commandments, and you will prosper. That's the promise. Now, if it doesn't happen right away, maybe it's because he's testing you to make sure you're for real and you're not just doing it just for gifts and goodies. Psalm 81:13, oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and that Israel had walked in my ways, I should soon have subdued their enemies and turned my hand against their adversaries. Isaiah 48:18, oh, that they had hearkened to my commandments, then thy peace, thy shalom, has been as the river, and thy righteousness as the way of the sea. So if you are struggling to maintain peace in your life, because everyone has spurts of peace, everyone has spurts of joy, everyone has spurts of these things that everyone searches after, but it's the consistent maintainment of thereof, including during trials. And so you want to maintain that, keep his commandments. And you'll be like Yahusha, who during the waving of the sea is like, What are you guys so afraid about? What's going on? And then, of course, Deuteronomy 28, it shall come to pass if you hearken diligently, not faintedly, not half-hearted, not like, yeah, commandments are good, but other stuff is more important. No, it's the most important stuff in the world. If you hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim to observe and do all his commandments, which I command this day, that Yahweh Elohim will set you on high above all the nations of the earth. And I think this is this generation, so watch and see. This is going to happen to his people, those who have faith and keep the commandments and have the right heart about it and do the things that he's asked us to do. You'll see it. You'll see it with your own eyes. Let's go to chapter 6 of Deuteronomy. And this is the other big, meaty section of this portion. Meaty. This is like, I'm talking like, you want to talk about almost one of the most important chapters in Torah? How do you pick one? But like this is, I mean, because Yahusha says the greatest commandment. He literally quotes Deuteronomy 6:5. Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's do this. Deuteronomy 6. You guys ready? I'll even look at the camera. I hate looking at the camera. Are you guys ready?
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 6.
Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which Yahweh Elohim commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that you might fear Yahweh Elohim, to guard all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your son's son, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yisrael, and guard to do it, that it may be well with you, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohai of your fathers has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house, and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yahweh Elohim shall have brought you into the land which he swore unto your fathers, to Avraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, to give you great and goodly cities which you built not, and houses full of all good things which you filled not, and wells dug which you dug not, vineyards and olive trees which you planted not. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware, lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. You shall fear Yahweh Elohim, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other Elohim, of the Elohim of the people which are round about you. For Yahweh Elohim is a jealous El among you, lest the anger of Yahweh Elohim be kindled against you, and destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahweh Elohim, as ye tempted him in Massah. Ye shall diligently guard the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers, to cast out all your enemies from before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What mean these testimonies, and these statutes, and the judgments? which Yahweh Eloheinu has commanded you. Then you shall say unto your son, We were Pharaoh's bondmen in Mitzrayim, and Yahweh brought us out of Mitzrayim with a mighty hand. And Yahweh showed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Mitzrayim, upon Pharaoh, upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he swore unto our fathers. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh Eloheinu, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness, if we guard to do all these commandments before Yahweh Eloheinu, as he has commanded us.
Man, how about that sweet, sweet chapter? Man, there's so much to go over here. I am super excited. And I love how Yahweh's timing works out. And I was just realizing here, this is, we'll talk about it here in a second, but the testimonies, or here, I'm sorry, when your son asks you in time to come, what mean these testimonies? And then basically he's like, hey, you need to share your testimony to your children. And obviously, our testimony is not exactly like this, about being in Mitzrayim and Pharaoh, obviously in a spiritual way. But I think our children should hear our testimonies. Maybe some of us don't have to share every single detail of it. Obviously, use discernment there. But in a greater way, our testimony needs to be shared. And it's just so cool. I just didn't see this. I don't know how many years I've doing Torah portions. And it's like, this is a command. Part of Torah is to share the testimony, and particularly the testimony that you have. And it just so happens, I literally shared my testimony for the first time. And I wouldn't even call it my full testimony because, how can you really share your full story in an hour and a half? I think that's how long it lasted. Maybe, I don't know. But I shared my testimony with Jesse and Jenny. They have a YouTube channel. Jenny has been friends with my wife Victoria for a little while, and they had asked if I wanted to share my testimony in their channel, and I had been asked years ago. It's been a while since anyone's really asked me. I was asked early on, and I definitely didn't understand this concept about it being Torah to share your testimony. I think it came from a misguided thought that me not sharing my testimony and just focusing on Yahusha and focusing on the Word would be my way of being meek and humble and not putting the focus on myself, because I've never wanted it to. I get accused of it anyways. I don't like, as much as I'm accused of like being behind the camera and it's like I don't even like looking at it. I just don't like the thought of just being on the spotlight, and I've never wanted to be. But the point being is that, also the spotlight of my testimony, not that I'm ashamed of it. There's probably portions that it's not for everyone. I think there's parts of your heart you can guard, and some details don't have to be shared and bore before all. Some people may have the opposite opinion. Some people will be like, I'm an open book. You can have every detail of my life. That's fine. I think that's okay. But my point is that I didn't share my testimony. My testimony's not really out there. And literally just this week, I shared my testimony because they asked me, and I thought, man, who better to share it with than a really meek and humble guy like Jesse? He's been following along with us on this walk for some time, growing together with us, and man, I was like, who better to share it with than a meek brother here? And so, my screen share, yeah. So this is if you want to subscribe, Jesse and Jenny show. They do interviews with brothers and sisters like myself. Matter of fact, Jenny interviewed Victoria. So if you want to know a little bit more about my wife, Victoria, she interviewed her. Awesome interview. It reminded me of how much I love my wife. She's so awesome. She's like literally the best person I think I've ever met. And if anyone takes offense to that, I'm sorry, but what would you expect to someone I cleave to? She's literally like the best person I've ever met. I could talk on that for a while. But anyway, so Jenny has her interview, and Jesse got my interview. It's not up yet. They said it would be up today. I'm recording this Friday. leading up to Shabbat. So check it out at some point. I guess I'll maybe leave the link a little bit later. But yeah, check it out. Jesse and Jenny show. I guess my testimony will be there. Like I said, in how many years have I been on YouTube? 10 years. So yeah, 10 years. I think I've shared parts of my testimony scattered. So anyways, long-winded to say, we got to share our testimony. I'll actually get back to that point in a second. Let's go to the beginning, though. I'll just share the verses in Revelation about we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So just an encouragement at the beginning of the book and at the end of the book of how our testimony is part of overcoming. And so there's lots of parts of the Torah. I mentioned earlier that the Torah is not just a rigid rule of thou shalt and thou shalt not, just how to govern life in general. But there's commandments, statutes. The statutes are typically refers to, they're called chok or hukah, refers to tithes, priest portions, procedures of the feasts, the festivals. And then you have judgments or right rulings, which is judicial rulings or sentences pertaining to actions or misdeeds. So basically how to right wrongs, how to correct actions. And there's other portions as well, but just wanted to make mention of that. And so consider that a lot of biblical definitions are here in Deuteronomy 6. Fearing Yahweh Elohika is guarding his commandments. Loving him is guarding his commandments. Righteousness is guarding his commandments. So later on in the book, when he talks about righteousness, you can be like, oh, he's talking about his commandments. When he talks about the name of Yahweh, calling upon the name of Yahweh, that's his commandments. When he talks about, again, fearing him, we demonstrate our reverence or fear by keeping his commandments. When he says, hey, love me, this is talking about keeping his commandments. And I may sound like a broken record, but that's okay. We need this. This is the kind of instruction that we've been needing and the church has been missing for over almost 2,000 years. You see that with the early church fathers. I don't know how anybody tries to pull doctrinal understandings from them. Now, I don't want to be hypocrite. I've quoted a church father, but in relation to like a calendar thing where it's like there's not much in the Torah. It's like, how do we do the calendar about the inner specifics? So you've got the book of Enoch, and then you have maybe some references in the church fathers of how they did it back then, not as doctrine, but as maybe a witness of what was going on back then. But speaking of the church fathers, witness of what was going on back then, literally, like right after the first generation of the apostles, that next generation, they were already throwing out the Torah and calling it Jewish stuff and like separating themselves from it. But, isn't that the story all over again? They go into the promised land, they have salvation, and the next generation, they're already serving Baal. So history repeats itself. Nothing new under the sun. And so Sirach 2:15, those who fear Yahweh will not disobey his words, and those who love him will keep his way. So this is, the book of Sirach is, of course, from the Apocrypha and the Septuagint. Those who fear Yahweh will seek his approval, and those who love him will be filled with law. We've all grown up with somebody in our life, even if we were estranged from our parents. You grew up with someone in your life that you wanted to seek their approval. Could have been a teacher, could have been a leader of some sort, whatever. Well, how much more daddy, grandfather, father, heavenly, of course, seeking his approval. Like knowing that even if nobody sees you with their eyes or hears you with their ears, he sees everything. And in every corner, I want his approval. I want to be like, that's my son. That's my son. He's doing that which is right in my eyes. Look at my son. Look at how he handles that situation. Look at my son. And that, because that's how it goes down, because Satan's like, hey. And Yahweh's like, look at my servant Abraham. He instructs all his house, and he loves me, and he fears me. I want to be like that. Don't you? So let's love him all day. Not just once a week during Shabbat when other eyes are seeing us, and we're doing right at all times because we're loving with all of our heart, soul, and mind. I don't have to go to the New Testament. You all know Yahusha said this. He literally says, when they're like, Master, what is the greatest commandment in the law? And Yahusha's like, well, he didn't say Deuteronomy 6:5, but he quotes it. You shall love Yahweh Eloheka with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. I'm going to sing it to you later. You may not like the style. It's okay, but I'm still going to sing it to you. And so we've got to get these words in our hearts somewhere and somehow, in our children's hearts somehow. And I can't think of a better way than being a good example, giving them the good doctrine, watering them as a plant with the word, and doing it in a fun way. We like to have fun in our house. We like to sing. We like to dance, right? We like to honor Yahweh in the right way. We don't do it with a hard hand. So we're singing and dancing to Yahweh, and we're trying to sing it to them and teach them the right way through these songs. We're just trying to fish for our children's hearts. Don't you want to fish for your children's hearts? Some of you may be like, I got it. Well, keep it. Good. Guard it. Guard their hearts. Guard it, because Satan's after it. And his way is ever multiplying. Why is poison multiply so easily and so quickly? I don't know. But you have the antidote. It's right here. Instruct your children, guard them as the apple of your eye. And guard his Torah as the apple of his eye. So the Shema, right? Hear, O Yashrael, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh is one. The KJV does this wrong here. It adds the word as one Lord. So people go off that, but that word's not even there. Hear, O Yashrael, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh is one. They add one Yahweh, which makes it kind of confusing. Let's go to the interlinear, what's actually written. Shema, Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. What is Echad? Unity, right? Together. Properly united. And so that's what I understand. We go back to the very first pages of our Bible. And you have Elohim, right? And then you have here, it says, Elohim said, let us make man in our image. And you look at the Hebrew here, it's plural. Our, likeness, our, us. So, male and female in his image. The female role is not diminished. Do not diminish the female role. He did not make the female in vain just to be your servant. He made the female to be your partner in life, next to you, to do it together. It's so much better, I promise you. But we read this earlier, right? Messiah that prayed that we would be one as he and the Father are one. So I do believe that there are two beings, but they're united. So just like you listening to me are a different being than I, but we should be united, strengthened together. And so if you want more, we have a playlist about the deity of Messiah. I don't make it a salvation issue. I know it can be confusing for others. I'm not pushing it on you, but I know it's a hot topic, and I know people are always asking questions about this. It's something that I'm ever interested in continuing to understand better. I'm not here at a place where I got it figured out and I ain't listening anymore. That's not it. But after what I would conclude or feel as a diligent study, I believe that Yahusha is our God. He's the one that was part of creation, that we just read about him in Genesis 1, that he was there with his Father. And we read about it in John 1:1, that the Word was with Elohim and he was Elohim himself. That shows me there's two people. You look in Revelation, there's two people. Stephen is about to die and he has a vision. He sees two people. But yet they're together, and that's why Messiah says, the Father is greater than I. I proceeded and came forth from the Father. What does that look like? I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. But Yahusha says that all the doctrine came from the Father, and he gives all the Father the glory. So there's this repeating succession that never ends. You have now this grandfather figure giving all the stuff to Yahusha, who is our Father. I'll say it plainly. Yahusha is my Father, but he also has a father. So I guess I have a grandfather. So Yahusha then came down and gave that to Moshe, Moshe then instructed it to the people. He literally says, I gave you instructions. And so then those leaders are supposed to instruct all the heads of the houses, all the men. Those men then gave it to instruction to everyone else. And there's this consistent succession that doesn't stop. So those of you that have this understanding, it's your job to pass it on to your children and those children in the faith, not just your own children, but everyone that's in this walk is Yahusha's child, Yahweh's child. And so, are you your brother's keeper? All right, so also, I also want to make mention, actually we will go there, because Messiah says, of course, the first great commandment is you shall love Yahweh Elohim with all your heart, soul, and your mind, Deuteronomy 6:5. This is the first and greatest commandment. It's the hierarchy. It trumps anything else. It's higher than anything else. And the second is like unto it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Now, modern day theology has positioned this as like back in the Wild West when they were like lynching and like hanging people, right? And they're like, people are like, the Torah is like hung by a noose. It's like hung on the cross, or it's hung by, that's not the context of this word at all. On these two commandments, all the law hangs, and you look at it to suspend, like how your clothes hang from a clothes hanger. So the rest of the understandings hang on this greater principle. Do I still have that visual? No, I guess not. It's okay. Anyways, Rob showed me a visual a while ago. You have the two commandments, and then from those two commandments, it's like a branch of a tree branches off the 10 commandments, and from the 10 commandments branches off. People say 613. I think it's a man-made number. I think there's actually a lot more than that, and it's not a burden. So it's like, give me more instruction. I want to have the heart. It's like, tell me, Father, tell me more. What do you want? What is it that your heart desires for us to do? How did you create us to be? How did you create us to look like? I want to say look like, not like physical features, but like when he looks down, like what should we be doing? And I feel like that's the kind of heart David had. And like, search me, try me, and if there's any iniquity, tell me, show me, because I'd rather know and fix myself because I love you and I want to communicate your love language with you, Dad, Father, husband. Eagle with big wings that I want to dwell under your shadow of. Mama bear. Mother hen. I mean, all kinds of different parallels, So, because it's like, I say that because it's like when guys were like, bride, husband. It's just a parallel for us to understand the concept. So, consider that the biblical definition of love and how to love him is the commandments being in our heart. Deuteronomy is so important. This teaches us the heart condition of the Torah. Because it's like if you just read, Genesis through Numbers, you wouldn't be taught this heart condition. In the next Torah portion, we're going to learn about the circumcision of the heart in the Torah, which is not some new concept that people think about in the New Testament that does away with the physical circumcision. Spiritual circumcision is going to be mentioned next week. Deuteronomy 10 something. Pretty sure that covers next week, or maybe it could be 2 weeks from now. I can't remember the breaks. I'm pretty sure it's next week. I don't know. I can't remember the Torah portion breaks off the top of my head. So we're talking about the heart. So again, we read earlier, John 10:27, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. And this, of course, they're like, we want to kill you. But here we go. You want to keep Torah. You want to say, hey, I am someone who is doing my best to keep Torah. Teaching our children diligently is not an option. It's time to get serious. This is why he selected Abraham. Genesis 18:18, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him. He's like, no. I know Abraham, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep guard, shamar, protect the way of Yahweh, to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken to him. It's like, how are we jealous and zealous to protect our children? Like, no, you're not taking my child from me. You're not going to come harm my child. No. Like, I want to protect the commandments, the Torah of Yahweh in a similar way. And that could be very crazy to people, but I don't know about you. I want to be gathered and dwell with him forever. Deuteronomy 30, and that won't happen until we're on fire for him and teach our children to be the same. It shall come to pass when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations where Yahweh has driven you, and shall return unto Yahweh, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children. So again, if you're kind of just leaving your children undone and be like, well, they'll catch on soon enough. It's time for some uprooting. It's time for some, not uprooting, uprooting of behaviors. It's time for some measures. If they have addictions to screens and other things, take it out of their hands. Be the more mature party that understands the dynamic of what's going on that they may not understand just yet. They may thank you later. Thank you for taking that poison out of my mind. They may dislike you for a little while. Deal with it. Do you love them or not? You and your children with all your heart, with all your soul, that then Yahweh will turn your captivity and have compassion on you and gather you. So you want this to happen? And I'm talking to myself too. I'm sitting here encouraging myself because I've got children. And I want to be able to teach them with all my heart, soul, and mind, because I want to fish for their hearts. And I want them to love Yahweh like I do, and not just force them to do it, and for them to just do it because I'm doing it. I want them to love him too. And I want them to be loved of Yahweh. And listen, end time stuff, well, you guys know this. You know Revelation 13. Do I even have to quote it? That the beast marks everybody, free and bond, rich and poor, male and female. I don't know if it says male and female, so I don't want to add to the word. I guess we'll just read it then. Yeah, it didn't say that. Okay, so he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and their foreheads. Is it just coincidence that when you keep the Torah of the Most High, it's as a sign on your hand and frontlets between your eyes? So it's your forehead. That's the fore of your head. It's the fore. So we were like, oh no, it's not here. Between your eyes is right here, and this is. Come on, I've seen the arguments people make. Between your eyes is your forehead. It's not just this little shelf here. This forehead is an adamant stone, as it is for some, but let the walls come down. Hallelujah. So you look at this word sign. The commandments being a sign on your hand and forehead, no doubt a reflection of of what you think about, meditate on, and what you do. What you think about, what you do. But this word, ot, it's translated as sign, a distinguishing mark, a banner, remembrance, a sign. So it's like, this is proof that you're his. Paul says in Romans 6, hey, don't you know that who you obey is your master? So you can say who you love all you want, but we prove it by who we follow, by who we respect. And what you spend your time doing defines who you are and what you're into. So it's cool here. He's prophesying not just that time, but also the time to come. There's going to be a time where, look around you. There's a lot of nice cities and houses being built. At some point, there's going to be a great destruction to the majority of people, and a remnant is going to inherit some stuff. Look around you. And it shall be when Yahweh shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And just in case you're new, I'm coming to the understanding that I believe this country, North America, was promised to Shem, was promised to Israel. When they said in Numbers, the westernmost sea will be your border, is that the Mediterranean or is that the Pacific Ocean? Anyways, it's too short of a time to explain why I believe that this is ultimately where Yahweh is going to set his name forever. And the Mediterranean place over there that's called Jerusalem is going to be heaps of burning pitch and ashes. It's going to be like Sodom and Gomorrah times, I don't know. And it's going to be as a witness forever in a greater way. It's prophesied to happen in Deuteronomy 29. It's never happened. Where that place will never be tilled again, never be inhabited. It'll be perpetually waste forever. That's going to be over there for a sign. I believe he's going to set his name here in the most glorious and the head of all the nations, of all the lands. This is the most glorious. This has everything, including a very easily defendable moat around the entire place, which is why one of the reasons why this place has never been taken over. But it's going to get subdued. So nevertheless, here in this land, to give you a great and goodly cities which you built not, and houses full of good things which you filled not, wells dug which you dug not, vineyards and olive trees which you planted not. So he's like, one day you're gonna inherit these things, and I'm here to say this is also a prophecy. It's here in Isaiah 14, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and you will yet choose Israel. In Zechariah 2, it literally says he's going to choose Jerusalem again. So he can choose where he's going to place his name. He did it in Shiloh. He destroyed that place. Then he set it in Jerusalem. He destroyed that place. He's going to destroy it again in the latter days. And he's going to re-choose where he sets his name. And he's going to set them in their own land. And strangers shall be joined with them. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. There it is again. So now it's like we're cleaving to Yahweh. And the nations are going to cleave to his people. And the whole world at some point is going to be one under Yahweh's banner. Hallelujah. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And so, in a similar way, he literally said in Isaiah 2 that literally at the top of the nations, so at the height of the crown of the pride of the nations, that he's going to set his mountain. So that right here, and it come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. In Isaiah 25, he calls this place Moab. For in this mountain shall the hand of Yahweh rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him. So in the last days, in the place of their captivity, which I believe this is spiritual Egypt, Moab, Assyria, the land of many names, Edom, that they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. It's an overturn. Overturn, he says. I think we'll read that in Ezekiel a little bit later. But it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow, from your fear, from the hard bondage where you are made to serve. That ye shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city, I believe this is talking about Satan. I think he's a man of many names. King of Babylon, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the dragon that's in the sea, the tempter, Azazel, Satan, the adversary, king of Tyre, the cherub, the anointed one. Yahweh of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so it shall come to pass, and as I have purposed, so it shall stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, that's another nickname for him, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden shall from off their shoulders. So what's that saying? I believe that America is the land of captivity. I believe that in one day, everything's going to be flipped upside down, and his people will be set on high, that Deuteronomy 28 promises. So there's a group of people that are being tried and tested and proven to see whether they love him and will keep his commandments or not. And after his time of proving and testing is over, he's going to overturn and flip things upside down. Micah 5, now gather yourself in troops, O daughter of troops. He has laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. This is defamation. This is humiliation. But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler of Israel, whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting. Therefore will he give them up until the time that she which has travailed has brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. And he shall stand and feed in the strength of Yahweh. So this is feeding in the Torah. In the majesty of the name of his Elohim. It's the same thing said in a different way. And they shall abide, they shall stand. For now he shall be great unto the ends of the earth. So this is the time that Yahweh's kingdom goes forth. This is the time of the house of David being restored. And this man shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our land, and when he shall tread in our palaces, then we shall raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 principal men. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword. So I believe America is also called the land of Assyria. The land of Nimrod of the entrances thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he comes into our land and when he treads within our borders. This is that surrounding of that nation in the last days. We talked about it last week, Psalm 2, that surrounding there, that Zechariah 12 surrounding. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from Yahweh, and as showers upon the grass, that tarries not for man, nor waits for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the nations, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he goes through, both treads down and tears in pieces, and none can deliver. So at some point, he's going to make his people strong in an instant. Since you followed me and you were lambs, I'm now going to make you lions, is what he says. Your hand shall be lifted upon your adversaries, and all your enemies shall be cut off. Ezekiel 21:26. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, remove the diadem and take off the crown. This shall not be the same. Exalt him that's low and abase him that's high. He's going to flip it. I will overturn it, and it shall be no more until he come whose right it is, and I will give it to him. No doubt, this is that throne of David. And you, son of man, prophesy and say, thus says Yahweh Elohim concerning the Ammonites. This is another name for them. And concerning their approach, even say you, the sword is drawn for the slaughter. It is furbished to consume because of the glittering. While they see vanity unto you, while they divine a lie unto you, to bring you upon the necks of them that are slain, of the wicked whose day is come, when their iniquity shall have an end. Shall I cause it to return into a sheath? I will judge you in the place where you were created, in the land of your nativity. This is no doubt Jerusalem, that Jerusalem. And I will pour out my indignation upon you, and will blow against you in the fire of my wrath, and deliver you into the hand of brutish men, skillful to destroy. You shall be fuel to the fire. Your blood shall be in the midst of the land, and you shall be no more remembered, for I, Yahweh, have spoken it. And this is that coming of the government of that throne of David, Isaiah 9:3-8. You have multiplied the nation and have not increased the joy. They joy before you according to the joy in harvest, and as men when they divide the spoil. For you have broken the yoke of his burden. So this is that day that the scepter, the power is broken, that America has, that Jerusalem has, that the beast and the woman have. The woman that rides the beast, Yahweh is going to break it. You have broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor. Oh, how has the oppressor ceased, is what Isaiah 14 says. I'm going to sing that to you later too. As in the day of Midian, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Why? For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty El, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and the peace there be shall no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of Yahweh will perform this. Yahweh sent a word into Jacob and has lighted upon Israel. Malachi 4, I believe this is that same child being born. Malachi 4, for behold, the day comes that shall burn as an oven. All the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that comes shall burn them up, says Yahweh of hosts, that shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name, so those of you that reverence the Torah, shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. You shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be as ashes under your soles of your feet in the day that I do this, says Yahweh. So, long story short, to say, at some point, the same thing's going to happen. Yahweh is going to defeat the enemies, and one day his people are going to possess these good things, nice houses, wells not dug, vineyards built, but there's still going to be a warning not to turn back to our old ways. So this is called out a warning for you. So anyways, we had already kind of talked about the testimony, anyways, just also want to make mention, guarding the commandments here is equated right here. This is a definition is defined as doing that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. And again, prosperity gospel. It may be well with you. You want to be well? Take a look at, honestly, take some time. Read Deuteronomy 28. Read all the blessings, and I think every human being would be like, I want that. Yes, 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 please, please, please. I've been praying for that, And then you look at the curses, like, is that why that's been going on? I'm just saying. He's the Elohim that can, you know what? Someone can just lay hands on you and you can be healed of that. Or he may be the Elohim that wants you to get up and to seek him diligently according to his commandments. And then maybe that curse may come off you. I know one of them. Horrible inflammation is one of the curses. And I dealt with horrible inflammation for so long. And when Yahweh thought that I had learned my lesson, he lifted it off of me. It had just happened to come during the time of my life where I set to want to be perfect in his Torah. I said that. I want to be perfect in the Torah of the Most High. Whether I reach that or not, I guess we'll find out. But that's where I'm setting my mind to do. I am setting my heart to be perfect. David wanted that. I want to be that way. Have I messed up already? Yeah, big time. Does that mean that I have to today and tomorrow? No. I can change that. We talked about testimony, right? Paul says, you are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read of all men. Sometimes, as they say, you may be the only scripture that someone sees, or at least the first taste of scripture that anyone's ever seen. But Revelation 12:17, the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahusha. What is your testimony of Yahusha? Is it just that you know he's the one that died on the cross? Or do you have a testimony? Like I said, it took me a while. After 10 years of public ministry, I just finally shared it. So I drug my feet. Don't be like me. Maybe I've missed out on some blessings for dragging my feet on sharing my testimony publicly. So, and again, it's going to be on the Jesse and Jenny show. Check them out. They have a really cool little vlog. I'm not up to date. I think their last one, but it's a pretty cool little vlog. It's a neat little way. They're a newlywed couple, and they've got this vlog about John Guy. He's Jesse, the man, and he's sharing with his wife of coming out of the church and doing it in a loving and fruitful way, which is. It's really a unique way of sharing the gospel, and I appreciate it. And may Yahweh bless them, and may they continue to do what they're called to do, and testimonies. And, yeah. So last thing on Deuteronomy 6, and then we're going to kind of go to chapter 7 and finish up. Again, it shall be our righteousness if we guard to do all these commandments. And so mainstream Christian theology is like, well, yeah, who can do that? So... And, James says if you mess up one, you mess up all. So, and then misquoting Paul, as it is written, there's none righteous, no, not one. So people are like, okay, well, so there you go. None of us are righteous, and our works are as filthy rags. So why even try? It's so silly because, Paul is literally quoting Psalm 14, which is talking about the fools and the wicked people. He's talking about all the workers of iniquity. Have they no knowledge? They're all gone aside. They're all filthy. There's none that does good. No, not one. None of the wicked, the fools, right? This is who it's talking about. It's not talking about Yah's people. Because I read the scriptures, Luke 1, there was in the days of Herod, king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron. Her name was Elizabeth, and they were both righteous before Elohim. And how were they righteous? Walking in all the commandments and ordinances of Yahweh, blameless. People can say all they want. Well, they weren't really blameless, and they were just determined blameless because they messed up and repented. Maybe. Or maybe it's exactly what it says. Maybe they were just righteous people. First John 4, 1 John 3:4. Whoever commits sin transgresses also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. And literally, he was manifested, so God, Yahusha, our King, came here, manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin. Whoever abides in him sins not. So if you're like, yeah, I live in Christ, and Christ lives in me, then you got to stop sinning. So it says, little children, let no man deceive you. So this is in regards to sin, breaking Torah. So as soon as he's talking about this, listen, don't let anybody deceive you. He that does righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. So the keeping of the Torah, the commandments, is defined as righteousness at the beginning of the book and at the back of the book by one of Yahusha's closest disciples. So, again, broken record, but it's okay. It's my job. All right, let's finish up with Deuteronomy 7, 1 through 11, and got a couple announcements, got a couple songs.
Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 7.
When Yahweh Elohim shall bring you into the land whither you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, the Chittim, and the Girgashim, and the Amorim, and the Kenanim, and the Perizim, and the Chivim, and the Yevusim, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them, and utterly destroy them. You shall cut no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son. For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other Elohim. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy you suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people unto Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh Elohim has chosen you to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would guard the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim. Know therefore that Yahweh Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful El, which guards his covenant and mercy with them that love him and guard his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore guard the commandments and the statutes and the judgments, which I command you this day to do them.
Pretty simple, eh? I love this part right here. That he set his love upon us. But he's saying, I didn't set that on you because you were more in number. And wouldn't we be the fewest of people now still? Those who have faith and keep the commandments, I mean, got to be one of the smallest things, but special possession. He chose you to be a special possession, a peculiar people. I have a reference there in 2nd Ezra. I'll just leave that in the notes. But, you know, that was the promise he gave in Exodus 19 as well. And once again, I want to set my life to be his gem, his gemstone. That is rough at first. Like you can find a gemstone that's rough, but through patient, precise cuts, allows the light to come in, shine, and reflect out in so many different ways. And that's how we should be with our Messiah, with the instructions he's given us, and let him form us piece by piece that we may be those stones not graven by hands, by human hands. The same stones that Yahweh uses to smite the nations right at the feet of it and have the whole thing come tumbling down. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to do that by keeping the commandments of Yahweh. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love is as strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave, and the coals thereof are coals of fire, which has a most vehement flame. This is the cross right here. Love is as strong as death. He came and literally died for us. That's how much he loves us. And because of that, I want to set him, his ways, his Torah on my heart. And I want to be in love with him through his Torah, through his how he says we should live. That's his love language, and I want to love him with all my heart. So we're gonna we'll have the Shema song. I think it's called Kingdom Mindset. But just a couple announcements. Passover registration's up. I have the link in the study notes. And man, I hate to keep asking, but thank you guys for those who have been here in the call. You've been helping us make ends meet here at the community. And just thank you for your help, and just still continue that call. Just need to continue to help. So praise the Most High. I have a link there for that. So let's pray, and we'll do a couple songs. I'm gonna play two. I'm gonna play Kingdom Mindset, and then one other one, and then I'm gonna play partial of a song called "How Has the Oppressor Ceased." It's based on Isaiah 14 and what we were reading earlier about how he's gonna have mercy on us one day and rescue us from the servitude once again. And yeah, it's also reciting the fall of Hasatan, and a reminder about being lifted up in pride. And it's going to be a witness to a lot of people. It's coming. Anyways, let's pray. Father Yahweh in heaven, we just bless you, and we just thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for, well, you also loved the world. He sent his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Thank you for that. And we know that you continue on to talk about how light came in the world and men love darkness rather than light. Let this be the generation of Yahweh that loves your light and wants to walk in it, and help us to reflect it purely, that others would see it and be amazed and wondered. Father, we pray for the day to come soon, that people will once again say, wow, what great nation is there that has an Elohim that's so awesome and so close to them, and with laws that are so righteous as this Torah. Help us, Father, to prepare the way for you, for the house, that you would come and dwell and come rule over your people again. Thank you so much for all you do. It's in your Son, Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. Hallelujah. So we're going to play Kingdom Mindset, and then I think we're going to play, I'm going to play kind of a faster dance song with the Shema. It's me and my family's way of teaching our children. We like song and dance here. We're big on that. And so we're getting our children singing and dancing this way. So just fair warning, this may not be your style. But I'm feeling called and led to make this kind of music, even though people call it devilish and satanic. It's okay. Praise the Most High.
Deuteronomy chapter 14 states what we can eat
of your soul and all of your mind. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Let's love him all day. And these words which
up from your fear, servitude that drew you near. Slay the Roman enemies, held the spirit from beneath. How as the oppressors see.